Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So today in this episode, pretty much I'm just going to kind of talk about the Batman Caped Crusader, sort of like a review, pretty much my thoughts and opinions and stuff that I liked, didn't like, pros, cons, etc. So if you have not seen the Batman Caped Crusader, don't want to give any spoilers away, you guys can always exit the video, but it's not going to be so much of a spoiler. It's more of just a discussion of some of the things that I liked and maybe would have wanted a little bit more in certain areas and certain elements in the series. I think to start off right away, in the first introduction of the series, it has the original writer Paul Dini, who did the Batman animated series, which I'm happy about, and it already, that's already a plus. Second one is Matt Reeves, who did the Batman 2 as well, and all these other movies, Planet of the Apes and stuff. And then J.J. Abrams as well is in on it. Like, there's like literally three executive producers. I mean, even more executive producers, but these three guys are tackling this project right now with the Batman Caped Crusader animated series. The more the merrier, and it makes the writing that much, better for, the storytelling and such. So I'm really happy about that. The original, one of the original writers is back on track with it. One of the biggest things, I think, not throwing out so much spoilers, but again, right in the introduction of this series, it doesn't have a distinctive melody per se. It's just more of like ominous music, and kind of was hoping that this composer would do something a little bit more theatrical, just a little bit, but again, I get they don't want to recreate what Danny Elfman did. He did so many individual themes for not just Batman, but for, even the villains and the sceneries. Like, he did so much, and I don't know if they are going to eventually get to like that sort of like big film score. And it's something I kind of wish they had a little bit more in this series. It would have been nice to have a little bit more theatrical, themes. And I guess, right away in the introduction with the intro, I just wanted a little bit more like, like even with the marching snare drum, maybe just like a little like some sort of symphonic melodies or something. But again, that was one aspect that I caught, and maybe they could have messed around a little bit more with that, but it would have been nice. But the second thing I would talk about is pretty much the look of this series. It looks very grainy, just looks very, like in the intro, but the actual, series is just very sharp. Everything looks very, like, you can tell, like, the landscapes, like with the alleys and the buildings, and like even sometimes the interior designs of like someone's house, or like even like the mansion or something. Like, it just looks so good. Like, the detail looks really good. Like, you can tell in some shots, like they really want to show off like the very details of the, the scenery, like a building, the court or whatever. It just looks very good. One thing about the animation that I did find a little odd was sometimes it was like there wasn't a lot of like movement in their face. Like, that's something I did notice. In the original series, like when Batman would talk, like when he would smile, you could see the whole, like his whole mouth is like moving up and be like, "Thank you, Alfred." Like you could see that whole motion of his mouth moving. This one is more of like, it's just the eyes that are just kind of looking around, like, and they don't really move their head as much. It's just more like, just in the eyes, especially like characters like Batman and Barbara Gordon. Like, you could see there sometimes where they just look with their corner of their eyes, and it's like, I don't know, I just thought some of the detail, like where, they would turn their face, like, just that much added more detail to the animation. So just little things like that. I don't know, just me being nitpicky, but yeah, I really do like the animation as well. The third thing I would probably bring up is the voice acting. We got some really great cast members here doing these voiceovers for these characters. And, again, it's the biggest one. I would say it's Batman, obviously, / Bruce Wayne, and his distinctive voice. I think when he puts on the cowl, like, you want it to be heard as Batman, right? So, and it's just so hard not to compare to Kevin Conroy, and that's my problem. It's just with the series is that obviously it doesn't feel the same because of Kevin Conroy's voice, I think. And then even all those other actors on the first original animated series, they were all very distinctive, and they all had a certain rhythm and a sound, like even like the old Harvey Dent / Two-Face in the old animated series. His voice was so good. It was just, where you going, Harvey? His laugh and like his, just everything about it was so good. But in this one, there were some characters that, I felt like their voices didn't have that finesse. Like I was looking for like the difference in both their, personas of the actual villain character, or their, like their public voice versus their actual villainous voice or whatever. Same thing with like Batman. It's like this Batman's voice is more like, Alfred, don't do that. I told you, put the chimichangas away. It's more like that, like kind of subtle, kind of like more like a straight line. It's not more, big and sound like the way Kevin Conroy. Obviously, it's because again, it's just so hard to compare. But and it's that feel, it's that familiarity. When I'm watching this series, it's just like I'm thinking in the back of my head, like, oh, it's Kevin Conroy. It's supposed to be Kevin Conroy, but I know it's just I can't do anything about it. It's just, again, it's a type of familiarity again, and rhythm. It's just the way I see Batman. I just think of Kevin Conroy. I think of his voice. I hear his voice in every Batman. Any animated series or movie, I always still think of Kevin Conroy's voice, because again, it's so iconic, and it's hard to emulate. It's hard to follow that. It feels, again, has that dramatic feel. And again, these casts, obviously they still do some really good voice acting. There's a lot of clarity coming out of their voices and stuff like that, and I love that. Especially with the Batman animated series, it's just, you have to be very distinctive on like who sounds like what and who is who and such, and as that villain or character have that kind of rhythm, like in the previous ones. But again, I know it's hard not to compare from the old to the new. But I do like some of the new actors with their voices and such. Another thing I want to talk about is how dark this series is. I mean, again, I'm not giving away a lot of spoilers, but it is way darker than I really anticipated. I still thought, because it's going to be, again, like the 1940s, and then the Batman animated series, I think, takes place in the 50s and 60s, which I did have to look up just to be sure. And so I was already thinking, like, is it going to have that quirkiness? Is it going to have a little bit of that, corny, like just little one-liner, like, the way the original one was? But no, I was completely wrong. It is really dark. And like in the old series, there's obviously action. There's like, Batman's fighting goons and he punches people, and stuff like that. In this one, it's really dark, as far as like, I did not expect people to be getting shot in this series. Like, actually, like, there's like mafia and like goons like shooting other people, and like people are like dying. Like, I did not expect that. So like, that was a first. And so it really did catch me by surprise how dark this series got pretty quick. I think one thing I do notice about the villains in this series is, like, again, they all have their distinctive personalities, and I'm not going to spoil who, but there was one villain that is originally a male, but they switched it to a female. So I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know. I still think that it was perfect with originally casting the way it's supposed to be as a male villain, but I won't spoil who it is. But again, it's just this little tiny things like that. And it didn't bother me with casting different, I did see that there are more ethnicities and like, races and all that. And you do get more of that, obviously, in this series. And like, I mean, I will give away this one, but Gordon is black, so like, and that didn't bother me at all. And like, and that was cool. I actually liked it. And Gordon too, she's like black. So like that didn't bother me at all. It's just one character, one villain is not a male, it's a female. So I don't know how I feel about that one. That's the only thing. But other than that, the writing for each episode, I do remember, like, again, from not to compare again, but from the original, sometimes they would do like a 1 or 2 parter for each like villain build up for the character. This one, we're not getting that per se, not yet. I think the only one we got was probably the last 2 episodes of this series, the Cape Crusader. They do like a 2-part one, but everybody else kind of got their own individual, episodes. But again, sometimes I actually would like when they would do the whole 2-part, part 1, part 2, because it really does build the tension and the arc of the character development for each of these villains or the story. Even like Catwoman too. Like I kind of wanted a little bit more build up for Catwoman in this series. But again, it's still the first season, and the first season usually takes a lot to like grasp. Like even I remember when I first started the first animated series with the Batman 92 series, it was a lot to take in, because like you're getting all these introductions to all these different characters one after the other, and then it's not until like after the first season there's more of like a rhythm, and now everybody, and now like it's starting to get like the process of the detective work that Batman starts figuring out all these other things, and then they start diving into more like personal stories and stuff like that. So I really do like that. And again, did not expect it how dark it was going to be. I do love, again, the Grady look to it. I love the animation and everything. It has that same feel because it's in the 1940s, just like the almost like the original Batman animated series. And I think that's what I appreciate more. That's where it feels familiar to me on that level, is that the time it takes place, and then the look of it, everything, and even Batman's cowl. Like it obviously it looks like one of his earliest, cape cowls, but it still works for this time period. But yeah, I do like it. It still has that feel to it almost. Overall, it's such a great series already so far. It's only first season. It's on Amazon Prime. If you guys have not seen it, check it out. I highly recommend it. I'd give it like this first season like an 8.5 out of 10. Again, it's the first season, it's the build up. But again, there's so many different characters and stuff like that, and you get a good chunk already, like all these villains that he faces off, and it does leave you with a cliffhanger. I won't spoil who, but it does leave you off with a cool little tease for the next season. So I'm really excited about it. But I just wanted to give you my thoughts and opinions on this series, on the Batman Cape Crusader. I really hope to see it keep excelling and keep topping each season, because it really is a good, like, the Batman always delivers. Every Batman series that I've seen, which is the Batman animated series in the early 90s, the Batman Beyond series, again, great series, another 90s, and then the Batman series, the 2004 series. Those are the 3 Batman series that I was always watching when I was a kid. Like I was always watching those 3 series, always on a loop. And the only series that I never watched was the Batman Brave and the Bold. I never watched that one because it was kind of like more kiddish, more but the first 3, even the 2004 series, I still think that's like an underrated series that hardly anybody appreciates still. But again, and now, what is it? It's been 32 years later from the Batman animated series to this new series, the Cape Crusader. And just continuing this legacy with Batman. And it's just the cartoons, they always deliver. They never disappoint me. I'm more of a hard critic on the movies per se, but the series, they always give me what I want. And just, sometimes I can be nitpicky though with certain elements, but again, the biggest thing I would say, it's that voice, from Kevin Conroy. I think I'm so used to that, his sound as Batman, and that was the biggest thing I could, probably say. And then hopefully some build up more with characters of villains and like more storylines going on, and do more part 1 and part 2s. And then again, even with the music score, I kind of wanted more, symphony music and, some big epic score moments, but we'll see what happens in the second season. So, I recommend you guys checking out. It's on Amazon Prime, Batman Cape Crusader. So I'll catch you guys next time, and hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Peace. Bye.